Well, good morning and good noon. I think I have been given a very difficult topic. And yeah, we had a discussion that I think before we go for the verification, we are still in a beginning phase. We need to really go an assessment level. And then that's, I think, the important point before we go for the verification. That's why I think we slightly changed the topic, that we really need to focus on what are the key areas where we need to focus on the assessment, which really help in leading a proper verification. Would like to just give a short agenda. I mean, I think the third point is the focus of my presentation, important aspects and approaches for sound assessment. But before I go for the important topic, would like to give a short note what SGS is and what is the generic verification processes, and then, of course, some challenges, benefits, and solutions. I think some of you know SGS, but some might not be. It's a global network present in 143 countries, over 1,250 offices worldwide with conformity testing laboratories, and 64 employees. These are the different services SGS we offer across a wide range of the products. Just to give you a generic process of the verification before we really go for the important aspects of the assessment, verification really focuses on three key areas: scope, level of assurance, what need to be required, and the maturity level. There are three levels of verification: self-verification, second or third-party verification, and the third one is the accredited certification. And these verifications, they have a different levels or different degree of the confidence. Just to give a sort of a schematic view of overall verification process, it is structured in 4 phases: preparation phases, approach development, verification statement, and in any usual conformity, when we verify something, there is always certain things which we call it as a non-conformity or some new information is requested. So it is not the end, it's just we call it as a corrective action plan. So in every verification process, all the companies, they have a chance to rectify, correctify, and then later on to give the. So while doing the initial review, which is followed by a strategic analysis, these are the following important areas or aspects which are verified, which of course is a basis also for the sound assessment. Now I'm going to really give you some key areas which are our own experience and also experience gathered outside to really focus on what are the key important aspects of the sound assessment. As we have already listened in the previous presentation, that we should not really forget that the goal and the motive and the driver of assessment and verification is climate change challenge, which is, of course, is providing an opportunity to companies to optimize the energy, and of course, it leads to a cost reduction. That is the real consideration and goal. Again, in terms of the objectives and applications, the goal is really, the primary goal is to establish a baseline to achieve certain targets. That we should not really forget. Then, of course, the goal is not really to get a single one number lower than our competitors, rather to really get a lower number from the baseline which we are starting. And then, of course, in terms of the application, we should be really very clear what is the application. Is it the application of the results to be published outside? Is it an internal decision-making? Or it is really making a comparison among the products? That need to be very clear in the beginning. Anything which we are making in terms of assessment or in terms of the verification, it has to be properly documented. So all must be properly documented, and it has to be in a systematic and in a verifiable form. What is important in terms of documentation, what you are doing today, you should really update in the next coming year so that you have a base where you have started and what you are going to do in terms of the reduction. This is a schematic of the overall approach. And in order to have a very facilitating approach, I think the first point is quite important. You need to really have a proper training and understanding and awareness to the company, staff of the company, and also the members in the supply chain. That's the really key issue which really facilitates the overall approach. In terms of scopes and boundaries, Really make clear that your scope is meeting the objective. And when you are making a process map, you are really trying to arrange and conduct a site visit wherever possible at the site where it is conducted at the supplier level to really verify and check that the process map is in conformity with the actual process happening. That is really the key issue. This is an example where you need to really make a proper process map and define it that these are the areas which is owned by the company, these are the areas which is owned by your supplier, these are the area which is not under the scope. So that's really very, very, as I said, starting anything, you need to really define and train the project team at your level and also at the supplier level. One of the most, I think, challenging or discussing topic is the supplier engagement. This is really, I think, many of us who are really doing it. But as in any of the compliance area in the past 10 or 20 years, it has always been in the beginning certain blockage, but it really works. So there are certain approaches which you need to really make it happen, and it is happening also. So you need to really make a supplier explain them that this is a shared responsibility. It is a common goal for all of us. It is a cost reduction. As long as they are really not seeing that it is a cost reduction for them, that's really a motivation point. And of course, it is a need of the future. We have really been experiencing several times that it really facilitates when you or somebody from the top management is making a webinar or telephone call to the top level of the supplier. It really works and facilitates really. Or try to make possibly a certain site visit at the supplier end. Make it proper that you are training the supplier, making them understandable what is the common goal, share responsibility. In terms of data collection, I think this is also a very key area. So when we are designing a sort of a questionnaire, you design the questionnaire which really according to the process map, which is also considering the each steps of the inputs and output. And the most important point is that you should design the questionnaire which should adapt to the structure of information available in the company. It is not that company should adopt your questionnaire, but you should adapt the questionnaire according to the form and format of information available at the company level. Design the template for the company and also for the supplier in a very clear and in a precise way. Make it a little bit in a guidance to them and just ask what exactly you want, type of information, and the quantity you would like to have. In terms of the primary data collection from the supplier, really focus on those areas where you have a high impact in the supply chain and where you need a high level of accuracy. This is just an example. We are drafting a questionnaire for each process map, each steps. Really the way it really facilitates, helps to the concerned members in the supply chain. In terms of data quality rules, data quality rule, it should improve refutability, and it should really follow these certain criteria like time, geographical, technology, accuracy, completeness, et cetera, et cetera. In terms of assumptions and choices, please, I think this is a normal tendency that people, they try to hide somewhere the information, but there is no need. Just declare and justify where are the certain areas are neglected, what are the assumptions, and what are the approximation. Try to, which we were discussing yesterday, try to get a sort of a industry average data or available PCR data, reduce possible uncertainty, and try to get certain existing studies really to get some base information to improve the consistency. Examples, whatever you are doing in terms of assumptions and choices, you are designing it, justifying it, approximation, again justifying it, choices, justification. In terms of allocation, justify if you are using an allocation methodology where more than one possible allocation methods are possible. Justify certain sensitivity results between the methods and try to reduce the uncertainty using a sector or PCR to narrow down the choices. In terms of assurance, if you are doing the assessment internally, you should try to have somebody at the company level to have a self-assurance performance, or if you're using a third party as an assessment, it automatically creates a certain high level of assurance because it is a continuous verification of the data as an automatic process. Prepare the documents for your reviewers all the documents which has been already prepared, checklists, reports with transparent information, and the questionnaire. Challenges. Yeah, I mean, I would really like to give some challenges, because if I go on the challenges which have been facing, I think I will be doing the presentation whole day, so I'll not be giving the chance to others. So it's really some key challenges. There is a challenge on the boundary settings, lack of guidance, especially on the service sector. Preference, mostly, which we have been talking to the companies, is still going from cradle to gate analysis, even if the final goal is already known. And of course, most difficult area is getting the information on the retail phase, use phase, end-of-life phases. Challenges on the data collection. It's sometimes very difficult to get the secondary data. In that way, what you need to do is to find out certain literature review or create certain new inventories. I think one of the most challenges we have been also crossing that most of the data, sometimes it is available at the site level. It is not the data available at the process level or at the machine level. What you need to do it in that case, try to get as a portion of the similar products or to achieve the allocation to the core products. And most important point is data collection is a time-consuming process. So you really estimate at a real time. Yeah, another challenge, we have been speaking about the challenges from the supplier. Sometimes they're not really willing or not understanding. They are willing, but they are not understanding. As I said, you need to really make a certain sort of a site visit, motivate them, understand them, show them that it is for their own benefit, what is their own role. And sometimes they are willing, they are understanding, but they say, well, this particular information is something like a trade secret for us. In that way, we somehow solve the issue that we say, okay, give the information to the third-party assessment, where they will use it, but they will not intimate this information to your client. Verification benefits, of course, I think I'm just focusing at two important benefits of the verification. It really improves the quality of your inventory. It makes certain adjustment to the inventory, and it adds credibility to the results and the report. Communication, is it really necessary? Everybody agrees, yes, but it should not be just as a number. It should not be as a label. It should be really indicating what is your target, how much you are trying to reduce it. It should be verified, validated, and of course, transparency. Communication, a lot of advantages, but I think one of the most important advantages which we are really looking is, besides consumer awareness, commitment to your reduction, et cetera, it's really an information, if parties, they are really doing it, is passing the information B2B, because ultimately we need to have information in the global supply chain. So if it is a B2B information, somehow it will help in a B2C information. So we have been speaking that in terms of communication, we should really avoid anything which is confusing the consumer, not just putting the numbers, but you should really try to have a communication which you integrate the consumers in your own reduction motive, and it should not be really used as a sort of a competitive advantage that, I have now one number lower than my competitor. That's not the communication. As I said, goal of the overall assessment and the verification is really to really have a baseline and start from baseline as a reduction. Thank you very much.